Nick Carboni joins us to talk about the NBA draft lottery happening on Tuesday. Where does it fall on the priority list of how much people care here in the city of Charlotte? Nick will tell us today on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
You're Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
It's Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen. We're free and available anywhere you get your pods, and that does include YouTube, where Nick Carboni joins us of WCNC, and you can follow him for the latest on really everything going on in the city of Charlotte sports-wise at Nick Carboni, WCNC. Now, we're going to have him on this Thursday, obviously, next Thursday, and then you're going to take a long hiatus because you got a lot going on. Nick did not think it was a great idea for us to host a live show at his wedding in about a month's worth of time. So he's going to skip that. I know. I mean, think of the views, but that's fine. Whatever. I thought we were
I could have officiated.
Whatever.
You could have held me up on a little computer screen. I could have officiated. I mean,
it would have been funny because my future brother-in-law is actually officiating. So I wonder what that would do to the family dynamics if at the last minute I was like, actually, Doug is going to do it, and just like held you up like, it was the bad guy from the Ninja Turtles, the brain guy that lived in the little bubble. That's kind of what it would look like.
No, I think it'd be great. I think your brother-in-law would really appreciate it because there's nothing worse than going to a wedding and having to do something. Honestly,
yeah,
I mean, even if it's something special, I just want to go and I don't want to do anything. That's why I like the feeling. I like when someone asks me to be in a wedding, but I don't actually love being in a wedding.
Yeah.
Groomsmen's that's a fun party though. Officiating, it's just all stress. What is the benefit of officiating? You mess up or you are successful and none of the credit goes to you. I've officiated a wedding. No, yeah. The other thing is too, if your brother-in-law really wanted to do this, then he'd be like, wait, who's Doug? Oh, he's the host of this niche podcast that I do once a week and won't do for another month. And I thought that would be the great
subscribers though.
Yeah. We're about to get there.
Is that niche? Is that rise above?
We could get there if you let us host a live show, but you're not. So here we are at 3,800. We could get there though.
Well, the problem with me officiating too is that I would start to go on a diatribe about love. The definition of love, kind of classic officiating stuff. But I would somehow end up on Kevin Love and how the Hornets should have made a trade for Kevin Love a long time ago, because I've been saying on this show a long time, I would say that in the officiating, I would say, I've been saying on this show a very long time, people in the audience would be like, what is he talking about show? I've been saying on the show a very long time that the Hornets should trade for Kevin Love because he still had something in the tank. And now look at him in Miami. Wow. Of course, Miami scoops him up like they always do. Anyway.
Last question.
Anyway, have a happy wedding, have a happy marriage, whatever I do good. Get out of here.
That would be good though, because we were going through our wedding script and I had to time it out in my head, and I was like, this is not long enough. we need to pad this a little bit.
Well, that's great. You could call it. So that's good. We can make both parties happy. Your brother-in-law can do most of it, and then you just call me in like a reliever, and I come in one of those baseball reliever cars. But it's shaped like a Hugo the Hornet, and I come in and I give you a little Hornets analysis on the back end. I think this is a done deal.
I agree. I think Doug can work in a couple of his catchphrases too, like, "Oh man, this wedding is banging, baby." Can you imagine
the wedding night? Can you imagine?
Imagine.
Now we need to have a feature. All right, we'll move on. I promise we won't bully you. I'm sure your soon-to-be wife actually hates it. I hope she just doesn't have to listen. Just don't ever show this episode to her, ever. Let's talk about the NBA draft lottery sneaking up on us, and it's a highly anticipated draft lottery. Tuesday, May 16th. We will find out if the Charlotte Hornets will get the number 1 overall pick and then use that number 1 overall pick to get Victor Wembanyama, a generational prospect. Nick, I want to get the journalistic inside scoop on just how much you're going to be covering it, because there's been a lot going on in Charlotte. We just had the NFL draft. You have the number 1 overall pick there. You have Bryce Young. Rookie minicamp starts tomorrow for the Panthers. Also, you had the Wells Fargo this past week. You were out there from Wednesday on, at least Wednesday on. And here we are having NASCAR heating up, the All-Star race in North Wilkesboro. Yes, North Wilkesboro. I did not get that wrong. And then you have the Coke 600 at the end. wedding too. Okay, all of that. Where does the draft lottery fall on the priority list?
It's like I tell our newsroom every day of the NBA draft lottery. Today could either be, and probably will just be, a regular day, or it could be the most insane day we have for months.
Wow.
And that's especially true on Tuesday. I mean, 12.5% chance of chaos and insanity. Those aren't terrible odds. I don't know if Hornets fans are really thinking that it's going to happen. They have literally almost zero, context to be able to think that way.
Right.
Since I've been here, they've lucked out in the lottery once, climbed up to 3, and they got LaMelo Ball. There's only a few spots that you could. I think even staying at 3 would be good. Like, that would be good, decent luck for them this time, because I think you can still get somebody really good 1 through 3. Obviously, number 1 presents a completely different and generational talent, but 2 and 3 I think are really good spots to be as well. So I hope that they at least stay level. But yeah, I think everybody is going to be fearful of that backslide.
Well, one other question too. You brought up LaMelo, and you're speaking from experience, I guess, about the whole draft lottery either being a crazy whirlwind for a month and a half. Was that the example for Charlotte? So, okay, they luck out. They get to number 3. LaMelo's on the table to be selected. Just how crazy was it once they did luck out and jump up a few spots?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was that crazy, because not everybody thought that he should be the pick there.
Right.
I am really glad that I did go on record and say they should have gotten him. I am wrong more than I'm right, but I think I was right about that one. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't like that night the newsroom burst into flames and we were all like, "What we got? Like, this is amazing!" It's like for a local newsroom to get excited about the draft, it has to be a number that is. I mean, it's just 1. I mean, that's it. If the Hornets get the number 1 pick this year, I mean, it's probably going to dominate our coverage for weeks and months.
Yeah.
The month leading up to the draft. It's just that's the pendulum swing that it presents. Other than that, I mean, a local newsroom, you can pitch them okay, it's going to be this guy. He's 7'4". He does this. Here's a video. If it's 2 beyond, it's it's just a bunch of other basketball players we've never heard of. Obviously we have, but that's kind of how it goes. If it's number 1, it's everything. But other than that, it's just kind of you guys should mention that in your little sports blog. Fair.
Anything from you, Doug, on the draft lottery? How much you should we be more excited if we stay at 4, move up to 3 or 2? How excited should fans be if it's not number 1?
I think if it's 2, you should be really excited. I take Nick's point that regular folks, the non-sickos, we're all part of the sicko brigade here, but the non-sickos, anything below 1 is not going to be terribly exciting. And I think that applies to any draft, not even a draft that does have a generational prospect. I think people do ascribe a level of specialness to the number 1 pick, even if there are a couple of guys vying for that spot. I also think it's interesting that the Hornets have 12.5% odds of getting the number 1 pick, and the 3 teams above them that all did a super great job of tanking. The Hornets didn't try to tank. They were trying to win. The other 3 teams were trying to get to this spot. They only have a 14% chance. We're talking about a 1.5% chance difference in this lottery. And yet I think that most Hornets fans really feel like they don't have a shot. I think people are dreaming about it, but they feel like, well, they're probably not going to get it. And Nick's right. There is a history of them falling. There's more history of them falling in the draft than even staying in the position that they're supposed to own, much less moving up. But for those dreamers, I think they are thinking back to the Hornets jumping up to the 3 spot. And I'll say, I'm someone who's more right than they're wrong, unlike Nick, who's more wrong than he's right. And I was also on board with the LaMelo pick, so we were 2 peas in a pod there.
Always more right is Doug Branson. That's the way. That's
check the tape. Prove me wrong.
That's a catchphrase from you too. Always more right than I am wrong. Yeah, I mean the draft lottery, it's going to be fun. I'm excited because when we get to 4, we were talking about this too, Nick, and then we'll let you get out of here. When you go to when you see this, honestly, if I see the 6 unfolded and it is not the Hornets logo on the back, I'm going to be like, okay, we didn't have worst case scenario. At 6 is when it gets real for me. That's how much I am we are so used to the worst thing happening for the Hornets, either staying or even losing a spot. Okay, 6, no Hornets logo. 5, once you get to 4, then it becomes extremely real. How much? Yeah, that's what I'm going to be looking at. Is that kind of the feeling you're going to have, Nick, watching? Mark Tatum, yes, who shows up this night.
You either love him or hate him. I mean,
hate him, Tatum. That's what we call him.
That's that smirk as he reveals your team dropping precipitously in the lottery. I mean,
it feels like it's going to be 4. Like that's when it gets real, and then then the newsroom gets Wall Streety. That's what I picture.
Yeah.
Can I leave? Can I leave Nick with an idea? Okay, for WCNC for their coverage, if the Hornets get the number 1 pick and they deliver and they get Victor Wembanyama, I've got an idea for you because magazines aren't a thing anymore. Magazines covers aren't a thing, but I'm dreaming of a cover. Maybe this can happen on television rather than a cover because that's everything happens on TV now or on the internet at least. And so I'm thinking Victor Wembanyama, Bryce Young, recreating the poster, the movie poster from Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito, or is it Danny DeVito? Yeah, Danny DeVito. He's leaning. I can't do it on camera, but he's leaning up against Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they're both wearing tan suits. I'm telling you, that would be a winner.
Oh wait, what about
that would be amazing.
What about the picture though of Manute Bol and Muggsy Bogues, where they have the basketballs in between? What if we recreate that photo also, where there's a basketball and a football all alternating before you get from 7'5" Wembanyama to 5'10" Bryce Young? We've got a bunch of poster ideas that we need to get.
Yeah, this sounds good. I mean, it'll be probably worth it to piss off the Panthers' new quarterback before he plays, but I'm down. That's my sense of humor. I love it.
He'll be into it. And listen, we'll get all these details figured out at your wedding. Okay. I'll see you there.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
That's Nick Carboni.
See you guys there.
Yeah, we can catch him at his wedding. We're all invited in just under a month or so. Doug's going to be officiating, and you can find him on Twitter at Nick Carboni, WCNC. Congratulations. We will see you next week. So we'll also have some more time to iron out the details, and then we'll talk about where the Hornets
talk about how we're all going to Brooklyn for the draft
I was waiting for my invite. Yeah. All right. Yeah. We little carpool. Okay. Yeah. All right. Pick me up in Nashville.
I'm so excited for the events. Thanks, Nick. We appreciate it, man.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, that was not a real thank you. That was not.
Thanks, guys.
That was not. All right, that's Nick Carboni.
The finger is on the end button.
Yeah, hang up right now. Okay, coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Don't go to sleep on the Hornets just yet.
We'll have the player recap of Cody Martin. Cody Martin having not played all that much, not a ton to recap from this season, but we'll try to recap the games really that he did play and then project what he could do for the Charlotte Hornets on the rest of the 3 years of this contract that he signed at the offseason. This episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit, and it's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors with eBay Guaranteed Fit, and you can be sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to the My Garage tab and look for the green check to know the part will fit, or you get your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items apply. Exclusions apply as well. More Locked On Hornets coming up next. There it is, the poster in all its beauty that Doug wants to recreate with Victor Wembanyama and Bryce Young leading alongside him. Here's my question, Doug. Not only am I not familiar with the movie, but also I'm not familiar with the poster. If you know the movie poster, do you know the movie too well? How in the world is this the first thing that came up to you?
Well, I just remember this poster. I mean, it's a shocking combination. First of all, they made Danny DeVito way taller than he is in this poster. Like, I don't know, like Photoshop didn't exist back then, I don't think.
Also skinnier than I remember DeVito being, to be honest with you.
It's a
No
weird
disrespect.
poster. But yeah, so I love the tagline too. Only their mother can tell them apart. It was a weird movie. It's a weird poster, but I think it would be fun. I think the five people that still remember this cultural reference would get a kick out of Bryce Young and Victor Wembanyama recreating the poster from Twins. It's not. I don't think it's one of my greatest ideas, but I think it's an idea, and hopefully it wouldn't make Bryce Young too mad. And you can have this poster, by the way. I'm screen sharing this on eBay. You can have this Twins poster here for the great price of $29.95 Great British pounds.
Oh yeah, and that's a well, I was gonna say, I thought that was a deal at first. I was like, wait, it's only $38 US. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, just different currency here. So for $38, I think you are down bad if you decide, yeah, I'll spend $38 on a Twins.
Gotta get that wrinkled Twins poster.
By the way, I did go to Repo Records and I saw a signed Grandmama poster hanging, and I had to ask how much it was because it was also wrinkled. It had like rips and on the edges, but I didn't care. I was absolutely going to buy it, and they said, yeah, the owner is not going to sell that by any means.
Wow,
and so
priceless. They hit you. That Grandmama poster is priceless. Cannot be had.
Priceless.
I don't think it was though. I think if you had spoken with the owner and you came in there and said, I'll give you, I don't know. I think even $1,000 would have gotten it. He's not going to turn down $1,000 for a Grandmama poster. That's ridiculous to say, oh, you cannot buy this wrinkled poster of Grandmama. That's ridiculous.
I didn't want to be that guy. It's like, oh, everybody has their price, and I didn't want to negotiate for some wrinkled Grandmama poster. It was signed though. I don't know how much I would have spent on it. If he would have, I don't know what number would have been the lowest for me to not. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, we can think about that later. Let's talk about Cody Martin, Doug. There's not a lot to talk about here, right?
Oh, don't do that. Don't do you open up the segment and say there's not a lot to talk about. There's plenty to talk about, buddy. Just you try me.
You want
this
to talk
is a challenge.
about no. What you want to do is you want to spin this into us signing the wrong twin, and I don't want that to be spun into it. Here's the reason I say that. There's not a lot of live game action to talk about from Cody Martin this year. So he got hurt in the October 19th season opener against San Antonio. So he was actually hurt and only played in one of the 5 preseason games.
That's right.
Already hurt before he started playing in the regular season. Does play in the debut. Logs 56 seconds, does not even log 1 minute of runtime. He knew something wasn't right. Eventually, that would lead to arthroscopic surgery on his left knee on November 11th.
Scooping it.
Yep.
Because people say, the reason I say that, because people say arthroscopic knee surgery, and it sounds really like super serious, but a lot of Kemba had this done. They scoop it. They scoop the knee out.
I don't know why that made me laugh harder than I have at the other. So stupid. Scooping it up.
Scooping it.
All right, that one threw me off. So after the surgery, after he got his knee scooped, he would miss. I'm being stupid right now. Martin missed 37 games following that procedure, and then he returned January 4th against Memphis. Would play a 6-game stint. Mm-hmm. And then it would be 2 months and then some and then some.
So there was game action. I even have some numbers for you. In those 6 games, he averaged 6 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists on 39% shooting from the field, 21% from 3. That's not good. He's got to improve those numbers on those 6 games. In 22 minutes per game, he did participate in that huge win against Milwaukee, that 138 banger that they put up against Milwaukee. But they lost, I think, 4 out of those 6 games.
They did. So I don't want to have the was there a lot of game action or not debate with you on this show today. I just want to know, what were your thoughts on Cody Martin playing the 7 games that he appeared in, and how does that project going forward?
Well, this was a brutal season for Cody Martin. And we know that Cody Martin, you don't get to where Cody Martin got to, which is 2nd round pick being signed by the Hornets. The first time this ever happened that the Hornets signed a second-round pick after the conclusion of their rookie contract. Had never happened before in franchise history. It happens for Cody Martin. You don't get to that place unless you are a super hard worker, unless you are competitive, unless you desperately want to play games. And in fact, I think, Clifford and Cody Martin both agreed that he probably came back too soon. And maybe when he came back, 22 minutes per game, maybe they ramped him up a little too fast. And that probably resulted in him being out for the rest of that season because the Hornets were desperate. If they're in another universe where the Hornets weren't as injured, you probably don't see Cody Martin at all until way later in the season. If they were maybe a fringe playoff or play-in contender, maybe you save him, get him fully healthy and then play him in that scenario as a reserve. But this was tough because he does sign the extension, 4 years, $32 million. And it was the only move that the Hornets made because of the whole Miles Bridges thing. That was they were both offered their qualifying offer at the same time, and only Cody got to sign the deal. Mm-hmm. But here's what I thought. I actually went back and found my tweet because it was in a Bleacher Report article about the signing at the time. Oh, wow. And here's what I said about Cody Martin. Good utility wing who dramatically increased his offensive efficiency and was one of the few reliable perimeter defenders the Hornets had. $8 million per puts him right in line, if not more affordable, than other non-rookie deal utility wings. So this was a good signing, and it was disappointing that the Hornets didn't get to see the fruits of Cody Martin's labor because last season, 2 seasons ago, he set the Hornets on fire with his three-point shooting, was part of the reason the team overperformed from the three-point line 2 seasons ago. And I think his absence contributed to them, severely underperforming from the three-point line this season.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because he had such a dramatic improvement from the 2020-2021 season going into the year after that. So he shot 28% from three that year, and then it goes to 38%. Now, it's kind of one of those where you can split the season in half, and it was really a lot more. Remember, he was leading the league in three-point percentage with some filtered minimum stat, and that was bonkers because of the way that he was not shooting well at all the previous 2 seasons. Then the second half, he started to tail off a little bit. But bottom line, Cody became somewhat reliable out there. You could depend on Cody Martin shooting the basketball. Also, his cutting is really valuable to me. I think especially baseline cutting. I think he would have made that. Maybe helped out any ball handler outside of LaMelo who needed help, right, with Dennis Smith Jr., with Teo Maladone. I think he could have helped in some of those half-court sets. Defensively, we know what he brings. It's a high motor. I think on-ball defense is better than team defense, right? And we've talked about maybe the defense a little overrated, but not enough to say he's not good. He's a good perimeter defender, and $8 million a season is totally fair. Like I was happy about that deal. Plus, the guy, I think that's the kind of player that can come in and mess some things up for you to help you, right, with the opponent. And I think Cody Martin, having missed all this time, to not have any sample size really to work with off of a really strong season the previous year, you hate it for him. Hopefully he's healthy. Like, Doug, this is actually an injury. It lingered a long time. So I don't know how long this thing is going to linger into the offseason, going into the regular season. It's a scary thing because he could never get healthy, and that's something that I raise an eyebrow at.
Well, yeah, because it seemed like in those postseason interviews that the franchise was more confident about LaMelo Ball, who fractured his ankle, getting back into game action than they were about Cody Martin. It's a strange injury. Not sure what's going on there. I'm not a doctor, but I do look at a situation like Lonzo Ball and go, oh yeah, I'm reminded that these injuries are all different and the recoveries are all different, even if they have some of the same names, even if, there's some scooping involved in some of these same injuries. The recoveries are different because the bodies are different and the bodies react differently. And sometimes guys predictably, stay out for a period of time and then ramp back up and then they're back in. And then sometimes it just doesn't work out and guys fade into the distance. And, Cody Martin signs this deal, 4 years, $32 million, but that's that's no guarantee that it's all going to work out for him. I'm hoping it does. Because I joke about the wrong twin thing. And that's just because I see Caleb Martin. I'm jealous. I see Cody Zeller. He's out there getting 9 minutes and fighting with Julius Randle. And, I'm just like, I'm jealous that the Miami Heat are scooping. Speaking of scooping, they're scooping up all the Charlotte Hornets and going out and winning playoff games with them. And so I'm just jealous, and that's what the wrong twin thing is about. I'm sorry, Cody. I just want to apologize right now to Cody Martin. Apologize. I don't mean it. I can't wait to see you out there hooping it up again.
No, but it is funny, though, you bring that up. We can have this be the last point before we go in. But
let's tease it. Let's tease it. Let's go into the third segment with it. You're about to say something juicy. You're about to say something important, and I want to hear about it next.
All right, hit the graphic, baby. We'll let you take it in there. Coming up next, Locked On Hornets. I'm going to give you the big, juicy point that I had about Cody Martin and Caleb Martin. Did the Hornets really sign the wrong twin?
Yeah,
find out in
there
the last
we go.
segment of today's edition, Locked On Hornets podcast. Doug, I think I forgot my point, to be honest with you.
This has been a silly show. This is not even silly season yet. I don't really consider it silly season until after free agency. August and September is the silly season, but I think we're well on our way to it already.
I mean, look, there was such fanfare delivering the tease. I forgot exactly what was important to deliver it. So I really did have to think. The time when you were trying to figure, because it was funny. It did feel like they were only going to bring back one twin. It did seem like they were going to do that. And Doug, at the time, there was never really a question. Caleb Martin did have good games at the end of his last season here with Charlotte, but Cody fit a lot more of what they needed because of the defense, and they didn't really have a whole lot of that on the perimeter, right? Caleb, the offensive guy, Cody, the defensive guy.
Freaky Friday. It was a Freaky Friday swap. We thought Caleb was the offensive guy. I've said this before. It's like the Friends episode where Phoebe falls in love with the fireman and the artistic guy, and she can't figure out which one to dump. And then she goes to dump the fireman, but he shows the soft side, and so she decides to stay with him. And then she goes to dump the art guy, and the art guy has a six-pack. And this is exactly the same situation that we had with these two twins who suddenly decided a Freaky Friday swap, and Caleb Martin is suddenly a great defensive player. Get out of here.
They are both sensitive and sexy at the same time, the Martin twins, and it's tough because you let Caleb Martin go. The problem is our Martin twin has been out of commission for a while, but it did seem like he was the obvious choice between the two. And then Caleb goes down to Heat culture and is producing in a series lead that they have over the New York Knicks, 3-2 now. So the Knicks won this most recent game. So yeah, it didn't feel like there was much of a choice at all. And they brought back, we talked about, Doug, going into last year or going into the previous year, right? How Cody could be a cut. Yeah, how the Martin twins, neither one of them. I never thought that was going to happen, but when we were trying to make the 15-man, is Cody the last one in? We had those combos, and then he outperformed those expectations so much so that he did parlay that into a nice contract, which I'm so glad he got before the injury, by the way. That's huge for him.
Yeah, I mean, he was projected to be the backup shooting guard, essentially, and he was in I think 2 seasons. I keep saying last season. I mean 2 seasons ago because I don't feel like
I hate it at this time
over.
of year. That's how it's always like that the last 2 months after the year is over or whatever.
Yeah, 2 seasons ago, Cody Martin was in a real battle with Kelly Oubre for the title of sixth man. They would go kind of back and forth in terms of their impact, and I thought by the end of the season, Cody Martin had definitively won that battle. And I was expecting the same thing from him heading into this season, that he would be the de facto sixth man, not from a scoring perspective, because I think he would have played a similar role that Caleb Martin is playing for the Miami Heat right now in this playoff series, which is like, hey, you're going to run around a lot. You're going to facilitate a little bit. We're going to ask you to take like 7-8 shots. We'd like you to hit 3 to 5 of them, and then that's it for you offensively. It's going to be a lot of standing in the corner, waiting for LaMelo Ball to draw some attention away and fire the ball to you wide open, bang, knock it down. That's what he would have been expected to do, and I think, I was expecting him to do that, and we didn't really see that in the 6 games that he returned. And I would say that was, again, an indication that he wasn't quite ready to return. We did not see the same Cody Martin. Yeah. I did find this interesting graphic that displays the impact of these two twins, Caleb Martin versus Cody Martin. I've got this graphic if you'd like to see it.
I would like to see it. Yes, you've gone through all
It's
this
this right here. So that you can see Caleb Martin is Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Cody Martin right now is Danny DeVito. But this is not, this is just last season. We've got a lot of time left. He can catch up.
What is GBP? Is that a new advanced stat? GBP at 29.95. Do we have anything on the fly?
Yeah, great ball play. GBP stands for great ball play, and right now Caleb Martin leading, and he's represented by Arnold Schwarzenegger here, and Danny DeVito is Cody Martin. But again,
kind of laying down as if he's resting, right? Like Cody's not really standing up. So I get that. That's for sure. Yeah, Danny DeVito, Cody Martin. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
You get it.
Caleb Martin. There we go. Okay, that'll do it for today's Locked On Hornets podcast. We appreciate you. Well, this was a scooping it. I like that one. That one got me, man. I was not well after something so dumb. I couldn't.
And we got a wedding. I mean, this has been a big show. We got a wedding invite. Yeah. We're gonna rent a van and go to Brooklyn with Nick Carboni. It's great.
I'm excited, man. I'm really excited to go to the wedding. I'm excited to see you. We're going to have an iPad attached to this robot, and then we're just going to allow you to go up there. And then, well, I guess if you're going to go too, we're going to have to iron out the details. We have them on next week as well. And then that's when we can iron out the wedding details. Thanks for making us your first listen. We're free and available anywhere you get your podcast. Make sure your second listen is Game to Game NBA. Every moment, every top performance, every result. Locked On Game to Game covers every game from across the league with local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. Follow Game to Game on Locked On NBA, available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast. I believe it is the last player recap, the last one. We've gone through all of them. So coming up next, we have Jalen McDaniels and Teo Maladone. Teo, a favorite.
A little double decker.
We are double dipping here with McDaniels and Teo Maladone. The last player recap that will be there tomorrow. So make sure you come back. Subscribe to YouTube.
Go.
Get us up to 4,000 subscribers. Help us out there. Subscribe to YouTube and also help us out with the pod listens as well. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be back with you tomorrow.